Today, we uncover how a bride set her husband ablaze after a little misagreement between them and just after 6 months after their wedding. As crazy as this is the reality of how Samson, a lieutenant, a soldier, a person that was serving his country, was set ablaze by the person he once loved and called his wife. It was supposed to just be another quiet evening at Basi Barrack in Bagua, Abak local government area, Akwa Ibom State. For the soldiers and family living in the compound, the barrack was more than a workplace. It was a home, a tightly knit community where everyone knew everyone and each faces were familiar to everyone, if not their story. But on September 22, 2025, the peace of that community was shattered by one of the most shocking domestic tragedies to ever rock the Nigerian army in recent memory. Lieutenant Samson was a young medical officer attached to 6th Battalion as regional doctor. He hailed from Benue State, and colleagues described him as disciplined yet approachable. The kind of officer who carried both the authority of his uniform and the compassion of medical training. Recently married, Samson had settled in a modest domestic life inside the barrack with his wife, a woman various reported to be a nurse. The couple had tied the knot only months earlier, in April, and are seen as a promising young pair building their life together. They were admired by many in the barrack of how close that they were and how they did things together. They were called the young couples in town by various friends and family, but what shocked a lot of people was what followed after. It was how the quarrel escalated. Accounts differed on what sparked the confrontation that night. Some neighbors said the couple had been quarreling for days over personal issue. Others mentioned that it felt like it was new couple challenges that they face, given the fact that they are from different backgrounds and they are just new couples. Others felt it was a normal thing for couples to argue, but no one felt that the argument was going to lead to a tragedy such as this. Others suggested the argument was sudden and intense. What is consistent across all testimony is that the fight escalated beyond words. It was no longer just exchange of words, but it was way more than that. At some point during the altercation, Samson's wife reportedly dosed him with pistol. Some reports claim he was asleep when the foil was poured on him. Others said he was awake and struggling during the attack. Either way, the result was the same. Within seconds, flame engulfed the young officer. Samson's screams shattered the calmness of the barrack. The neighbors rushed to the scene, horrified by the sight of the officers burning alive. They tried to do every way possible to save him and to find a way for him to be salvaged, but the situation was beyond repair. It was late at night and nobody in the community knew what was going on. All they heard was scream and chaos, and once they rushed out, they saw a man burning, only for him to be later identified as Samson. Officers and residents struggled to distinguish the flame and rushed him to the hospital. Despite immediate medical interventions, the burns were severe. For several days, Samson fought for his life. He never had believed that the person he once loved and the person he called his wife would be the one to make him fight for his life, even in the hospital. But his injuries were intense. He eventually succumbed, leaving behind colleagues, family, and his shocked military community. Everybody was shocked when they heard the news. When they heard what had happened, people mourned and were greatly grieved with what had happened to Samson. He was very popular in the barracks, and people had known him to be a cool-headed person and never believed that this young couple would be facing such challenges, even leading to the point that would destroy their marriage. Nobody had believed what was happening and what was currently going on right under their nose. The barrack was all in chaos as they demanded justice for him. The army moved quickly to contain the fallout. The military police took over the investigation and Samson's wife was detained pending inquiries. The Nigerian army publicly condemned the act and assured the public and its officers that justice will run its course and it must be served. They said they are going to take the investigation seriously because Samson was one of their own and they never knew that things would escalate to this point where everybody would be in chaos and nobody would know what was currently going on in the home. Everybody felt like these couples were peaceful and were trying to codepend within themselves and was trying to work together to grow a family. Nobody felt just a light, intense conversation could lead to the death of Samson. Inside the barrack, grief and disbelief spread like wildfire. Soldiers who had served along Samson struggled to accept that a domestic quarrel had claimed the life of one of their own. For the civilians living in the barrack, the incident was a chilling reminder that beneath the surface of military discipline, personal lives and private struggles can spiral into violence. It made them realize that not all that glitter was gold, and not even the couples that they were admired by many even had issues beyond their understanding. The news of the tragedy broke nationwide. Social media was filled with tribute of Samson. His friends, family, and fellow soldiers mourned a man whose life ended far too soon.
On the 22nd of September, he came and dropped me off from work. His elder brother asked him to pack his things from the room and leave me and frustrate me. When I'm frustrated, I'll leave the room. So he bought a new mattress and then he packed to another room to the store. The store had fuel and other things inside. So while he was packing, he accidentally hit the foil. When he hit the foil poured in the house. So he has been beating me. He has beaten me on so many occasions that I even had miscarriage. So he was threatening me with lighter that he's going to set me ablaze if my parents don't come to carry me.
They also grieved and they were also angered and called for justice for the army and the Nigerian law enforcement to ensure that the wife was held accountable for the brutal act. But the case also sparked deeper conversation. A lot of people within the barrack struggled to understand what currently transpired between them. The stress of posting and separation were the thought of many mindsets of a lot of people in the community, and the distance between the couples, especially early on their marriage, might have led them to various conflicts. As investigations continued, questions lingered. What exactly triggered the argument? Did Samson's wife act of sudden rage or it was premeditated? Were these warning signs of abuse and tensions before the incident? The army stressed patience, urging the public to refrain from speculation. Yet, the weight of the case, the officer murdered in its own quarters, allegedly by his spouse, ensured that it remained firmly in public eye. The legal experts noted that if convicted, the wife would face the grievous of penalties under both military and civil law. Beyond the investigation and the grief, one painful truth lingered. The tragedy was preventable. A promising young medical officer who dedicated his life to saving others was lost to a domestic violence. The incident highlighted the need for stronger awareness and support system and intervention in the military family. Nobody could have believed that this young couple, who were barely married for 6 months, would engage into such a violence that would lead to the death of Samson. My people, this is the news for today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this post with your family and friends.